Welcome to Season 2 of the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. I'm Em, a sexologist and kinkster. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize desire in all of its forms, including darker desires. Each episode, we dive deep into the psychology of desire with a sexpert, everyday kinkster, or a kink expert. This is an independent podcast. To support it, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at psychologyofdesire.com, where you'll also find deep dives into desire and surveys that you can participate in. You can also sign up there to get the podcast delivered directly to your inbox when it's released. If you'd like to support the podcast, please consider checking out the brands that support the Erotic Realm. There's Firm Tech, whose tech ring offers fascinating insights into sexual health by tracking erection quality and nocturnal function. Splash Blanket, who create luxurious waterproof blankets designed for comfort, intimacy, and real-life messes. ProDX Health, who offer discreet, at-home STI testing. While Karoo and Lovents make premium pleasure technology, from couple toys to long-distance interactive devices. Then there's Lioness, who are doing something truly unique in sex tech, using biofeedback and orgasm data to help people better understand their arousal. I'm also partnering with Flow and Desire, science-backed libido support supplements designed to support sexual vitality and well-being. These are brands that I find genuinely interesting, science-backed, and I've used them myself, so they come with my recommendation. You can find the links to all of them in the episode description. If you try them, use the links below. It supports the show at no extra cost to you. And now, back to today's conversation. The following conversation explores how rope can become far more than restraint. It can become a language, a ritual, and a profound practice of presence. In this episode, I'm joined by internationally renowned Shibari artist Marie Sauvage, whose work blends fine art, Japanese rope traditions, and embodied performance into an exploration of trust, beauty, and human connection. Together we discuss how Shibari became her artistic language, why she approaches performances as rituals rather than demonstrations, and how improvisation, presence, and deep listening shape every tie she creates. Whether you're new to Shibari or have been exploring rope for years, I hope this conversation expands the way that you think about what rope can become. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today, I'm delighted to be exploring the erotic realm of Marie Sauvage. Welcome, Marie.
Hello.
Hi, happy to have you here. So to start us off, can you give us an idea of what your life looks like for you these days? What do you get up to day to day?
My life these days involves spending a lot of time in Berlin, hosting workshops around beginner rope, particularly around the subject of sensual shibari and suspension. And last weekend, I hosted a 250-person shibari performance.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Okay, so I have some questions about that performance, maybe a little bit later. But for now, we'd like to hear a little bit about you and your sexuality. So how do you describe your sexuality and your kink identity?
I would call my sexuality, I would describe my sexuality as sensual. That meaning that I love to create and also to experience a wide range of sensual sensory experience. I think what I mean by this is that when I was first starting to explore my sexuality, I was thinking to myself that I found heteronormative sexuality, like penetrative genital sex to be very limiting, and I wanted to explore what is sexuality beyond that. Like, how can we engage mind, body, soul, all the senses? How can you find pleasure in different parts of your body? And I think this is what led me ultimately to becoming a Shibari artist.
Mm-hmm. So how did that journey begin? Did it begin with rope, or did you begin with Tantra or something else? What was the beginning for you?
The beginning was BDSM.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually worked in a dungeon for 5 years
Okay.
in New York City, and became very fluent in the ways of the the BDSM power play arts. And from there, I learned about Shibari, and I focused solely on rope from the last 9 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've spent about the last 9 years immersed in Shibari, from my understanding, traveling between Europe and Japan. Can you take us back to the beginning of your journey with rope? How did that all begin? Was it a particular session in the dungeon that awakened that for you? Was it a gradual process where you fell in love with rope? Why rope? What happened?
So I wasn't actually interested in rope when I was working in New York City,
Mm,
because I went to some kink events in New York City, and I had seen some Shibari, and I did not find the ways that I had seen it very appealing.
mm,
What I mean by that is I felt that at least the people that I had seen at that time was expressing Shibari through power play and ego, and there was a lot of sadistic Seminawa elements,
mm,
and I did not particularly find that appealing to me, because I'm not inherently like a masochist. But I went to Japan, and I met a Shibari master there named Kinoko, and I really loved his approach, which is very artistic, but also I feel like he challenges that sense of power play in the rope. Although he's tying his model or his muse, in a sense, when he suspends her, it's like he's revering her, and he's creating an incredible experience for her to transcend, to that's like transcendental. And I
mm.
found this very inspiring. So I joined his school in 2018, and I've been studying with him ever since.
Mm. It sounds almost like his approach is more devotional rather than sadistic. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Yes, I would call it that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've also studied fine art in the past. How has your background in fine art shaped the way that you approach rope?
I think how it helped me was I not only studied painting and illustration, but I also studied art history in school pretty extensively.
Mm,
So it gave me a lot of inspiration of how I could create my own image of Shibari.
mm, mm-hmm. And what were you inspired by for your image of Shibari? Because from the images that I've seen, it's very feminine. There's a lot of lingerie, very almost like a gentle, devotional feeling to it. What particular inspirations did you take from art when it comes to your rope?
Well, Shibari is Japanese, and although I do sometimes do some performances and shows in
Mm,
a traditional Japanese style with kimono, I thought it would be interesting to create a Shibari show that um, can I could resonate with
mm,
culturally. So there was a time in France, because my family is French and I live in France now. There was a time in history in France which was called the Belle Époque, which is around like 1870 to 1890, which was this amazing time period for these very incredible, liberated women who were exploring sapphic fantasies or sapphic lifestyles,
mm,
who were creating these beautiful, opulent parties, There was also the time of the Industrial Revolution, so there was a big change in the way that society was structured. There was like new money in industry, but then there was also new ways of women becoming mistresses and becoming independent away from the usual roles that women were playing in society. And I think that was really fascinating because there was some woman at the time, for example, in Paris, a woman called La Paiva, who created her salon where she would invite artists and poets and musicians and create these beautiful evenings where people could exchange art and culture. So I created Paris Salon, and I had a few editions of that over the years where I would invite musicians and do shibari and create a cultural exchange, which was really beautiful and became really popular. I think my most popular show is that one.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Are you still doing that these days?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I have to put it on my list of things to come and see. I saw on your website and your post that you often describe rope as a language. What do you mean by this? How is rope a language for someone that may have never touched rope before or is hearing about Shibari for the first time? How would you describe the language of rope to them?
I call rope a language because the way that you tie, move your hands, and move your body is a type of intentional body language. So when you're tying, you can speak, but for the most part, the main way you interact is with nonverbal movements and cues. And the way that you move and the way that you touch is communicating so much. So that's why I call it a language.
And you've also said that when you tie, every single tie becomes a window into experiences like beauty, surrender, and connection. Can you speak to this a bit more? How would you describe these feelings when you're tying someone?
I'm trying to formulate the sentence for the question.
Yeah, please. Take your time.
I think I am pausing because for me it feels like so natural, like the answer. That Shibari is a window into beauty. I mean, beauty because Shibari is beautiful. It's an art, and also to adorn the body and to shape it into these shapes is an artistic practice in itself. Surrender because the person who you're tying is trusting you with their body and their mind and their heart. So that's the part of surrender. And connection because you're doing something quite intimate together.
Beautifully said. One thing I found fascinating about you and your Shibari is that you say that you never rehearse performances. Why do you feel improvisation is so important to your work? What would you lose if you were rehearsing?
I think what I could lose when rehearsing is that the reactions of my model can become too staged. When I do big shows, like the show that I did this weekend, we actually did do a rehearsal because the positions were very, say like they were not easy. So I wanted to make sure that her body could handle them.
Right.
But when I do smaller shows, I like it better when we're tying in a way that just feels more natural. And if there is some sort of discomfort or something that's not working, then I can just shift or change the direction of the way that the tie is going. So it feels like more real in the moment.
And we often speak about safety in kink. How do you go about ensuring safety in an improvised performance or setting? Because some people say we need to chat about everything that's going to happen before we do a scene with someone else. But obviously, if you're improvising, this cannot happen. So What would you say to someone that wants to improvise more in a kink setting but also wants to keep safety paramount?
Well, before I tie anyone, I always have a consent talk.
Mm-hmm.
There's no tying before there's any sort of consent negotiation. So then within the consent negotiation, my model can tell me if there's any boundaries around certain positions or certain places that the rope should be, or where they shouldn't be touched, or if they have any medical issues or injuries. And so that creates a parameter of where I wouldn't go. So within that boundary, I can improvise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the traditions on the podcast is exploring a quote with you. And today's quote is from Alan Watts, who was a British and American writer. And he once wrote, "The art of living is neither careless drifting on the one hand, nor fearful clinging to the past on the other." So this is a quote I brought for you because it made me think about your performances being improvised and seeming to exist entirely in the present moment. So when you hear that quote, what comes up for you and how do you relate it to Shibari?
Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, sure. The art of living is neither careless drifting on the one hand, nor fearful clinging to the past on the other.
Hmm. I feel like I can relate Shibari to one part of this
Sure.
quote, but to the other part, I don't feel a correlation.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you said um, the fearful clinging to the past, this definitely resonates with me in all the sessions that I do, because when people come to be tied, they want to let go and they want to feel free, especially when they're tied and they're suspended, and they just want to feel like they can let go of their worries or their fears of trusting people or their worries of being vulnerable. So I feel like this matches this part of the quote very much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy being tied as well? Do you enjoy the process of letting go on the other side of rope, or do you mostly enjoy giving that feeling?
I love to be tied, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So do you feel like Shibari is more about presence than technique?
I think you need both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you need to learn the technique of it to be able to let go and improvise and be in the moment.
Yes, because rope is very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And if you forego the technique, you can actually put your model or your partner in danger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Who was it? Someone recently on the podcast was saying it's like the second most dangerous kink, according to them, the first being asphyxiation or choking play. And they put Shibari right up there after that, which was interesting to hear. I hadn't heard someone categorize it in that way before. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to chat about your inner experience when you're tying someone. Where does your attention go? Are you thinking normally? Like, do you have a thinking process? Are you listening? Is it more feeling or something else entirely? How would you describe what's happening for you internally?
Mm. When I'm tying someone, I feel that my mind is going through a lot of intensity, actually,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to suspension. My mind is in hyper focus mode.
Right.
because it's very intricate and it needs like 100% of my undivided focus to make sure that it's done correctly. Even though I've done it 1,000 times, I feel like it still demands your attention. And there's a mix not just of focusing on the tying itself, but also remembering to remain present with your partner and taking moments where it's just about presence and not about the technical part. When you tie on the floor, you can have more flow and it can be more present because it's not as risky as being suspended.
You mentioned that you enter like a hyper-focused state. Some people describe that as top space or dom space. Would you describe it in that same way, or do you feel like it's something different?
I never use those words to describe it. To me, it's just a very focused state.
Do you sometimes feel in flow with the person that you're tying? Like you can read what's happening for them without asking them questions? You get like a feeling from them and what they're going through?
It depends if you know the person well and you know what their reactions mean, but it's best not to assume that everyone has the same feeling, reaction, body language. So it takes time to know a person.
Now, you describe public performances as rituals rather than demonstrations. What's the difference for you there between a demonstration and a ritual? And why is it important for you to see them as rituals and experience them as rituals rather than demonstrations?
I think it's an interesting question, but I'm not quite sure how to answer it.
My first thought when I wrote it was I was wondering because what is a ritual? A ritual is something that we do to give psychological importance or more potential power of initiation and experience to an act, right? As opposed to simply demonstrating, okay, well, this is how I do this thing, A, B, C. Making it a ritual of transformation or experience heightens the experience for both people or everyone involved, I imagine. So that was where my thought went. Does that resonate with you at all?
When you said the question, the first thing that came to my mind was the audience rather than us.
Right.
For me, for me to create events where people come and witness the time is a ritual because it's a way that the surrender becomes a communal experience.
Well, that's a powerful line. Surrender becomes a communal experience.
Yes, when the people are watching the show, I feel like they're able to project themselves in the position of either me or the person who's surrendering. And it allows them to feel like what would they feel, or would they give themselves permission to be that free or to allow themselves to let go that much.
That's so powerful. And is that what you hope people feel after witnessing one of your rituals, the feeling of being freer or less weighed down?
I think it's when people come to my events, I want them to feel like they're also emboldened or they have the courage to also be that free. Yes.
Beautiful. So you mentioned at the very start of our chat that you recently celebrated 9 years of rope with a ritual of sorts in Berlin. Can you take us into that ritual and what you curated and experienced?
So I started planning this event last November.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I felt like it was a special year for me because this year I completed another chapter of Hajime Kinoko's Ichinawa Kai's Shibari Mastery School.
Mm.
And in this chapter, there's only one woman, which is me, who has completed it so far.
Oh
So,
my goodness. Wow. Congratulations. That's awesome. What an achievement.
yeah, it's really felt really special. It was really
Mm.
intense and really hard work, but I did it. That was in
Yeah.
April, and I felt like I wanted to celebrate that publicly because I think that there is more and more women now who do shibari, and that's amazing. But I would like that there's more women who are leading the shibari industry, and I felt like I wanted to create like an event about the, how do you say, like, just to bring the community that I had built over the last 9 years together. And it just was, I was speechless to see that literally 250 people showed up to
Wow.
see the show.
Mm-hmm.
I found that really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How
Yeah.
amazing. Mm. From the
I
pictures
mean,
I saw.
Shibari is usually pretty male
Yeah.
dominated.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I wanted to create like this the turning of the tide moment, like, you know,
Mm.
hey, there's a new master in town, and it's a
Ooh.
girl.
I love that. I love that. And how was
Yeah.
it? How was it received? What did people think of the ritual?
Uh, from what I heard, it was positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you mentioned that there's more and more women uh, becoming leaders in Shibari. Are there any women masters teaching Shibari from Japan or elsewhere?
Yeah, there's a few really great Shibari teachers from Japan.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to look them up. I don't think I've come across them yet. Do you have
Really.
any names of anyone that I should look up?
Some that are pretty popular in Europe are like Kasumi Harai
Okay.
or Murasaki.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the only two that I know of.
Mm-hmm. That are doing
Actually,
like teacher trainings.
yes, that do teacher trainings.
Amazing. Can you share a little bit about the ritual itself that you did to celebrate this big moment in your life? Was there a particular tie or aspect to the performance or the ritual that you did? I think I saw some photos of it, and it looked like it was a really high tie, really elevated tie. Is that the performance, the ritual that I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Shibari's positions, they went in a 360 formation, like, and at the end, she's suspended from her hip harness facing upwards, and then she's pulled up with a pulley very high from the ground. And it was like a moment of transcendence or symbolic transcendence, which people went crazy about because she was so high from the ground.
It looked very high. Do you have an idea of how high it was for the listeners to get some kind of idea in their mind?
Actually, I couldn't put a number on it.
It looked extremely high. I think it's one of
It
the highest that
it
I've
was.
seen. Mm-hmm. How fun. How fun.
Yeah.
Mm. And how do you feel after um, taking someone through such an experience? Are you someone that uh, feels quite high for a while afterwards? Some people experience a drop of sorts after holding that space for a while. What's your process like after you finish a tie?
If I felt a drop, you asked?
Yeah, like how do you feel after tying someone? I know some people will feel high for hours, you know, they feel that elevated experience for quite some time. Some people will drop and, you know, need to be alone or, you know, go and eat some food. What's your process after doing something like that, after doing such an amazing experience?
Do you mean in general when I tie, or this specific event this weekend?
Either or both. Whatever you feel like sharing.
Mm. In general, I tie really often, so I don't feel like it destabilizes my mood, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is it
I
a
feel like I'm able
meditative
to,
process? Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like um, I hold space for people so much that I'm able to be present with
Mm.
people through their different emotions, um, and that it doesn't drain me. So I don't need to do something to, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, recalibrate actually.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, one of the traditions on the podcast is bringing in a piece of research to explore with each guest. And this research might shine some light on that process further. So these researchers, it's Price and Hooven, and they explored the role of interoceptive awareness, which is our ability to notice and understand what's happening inside of our bodies. And their research suggests that increasing awareness of bodily sensations can improve things like emotional regulation, deepen self awareness, and strengthen our connection to our emotional experiences. And reading it made me wonder whether one of Shibari's greatest gifts is simply helping people come back into relationship with their own bodies. So, does this resonate with what you've witnessed through Shibari? Do you think people often discover emotions through the body before they can explain them with words?
I really resonate with this statement.
Mm.
I think that being tied allows you to be very present with the way that your body is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially in the way that we live in our daily lives, we
Right.
often override our bodies, like, what's the word? I was the word that came to mind is body's voice, but like,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
our body signals, that's the word. We
Mm-hmm.
override our body signals so much, like in order to work or function or to even socialize or stay up late. Like, we don't really listen to our body. But when we're tied with nowhere to go and we're bound and all we can think about is the rope that's against our skin holding us up, we're really present with our body. And
Mm.
I think that imprint of those memories of even just one time being tied creates like a correlation between you, or creates like a new relationship between you and your body.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
When I tie people for the first time, sometimes their reaction is so profound, like that they tell me they never felt like that before. And I
Mm.
think this is something that I really feel meaningful and makes me feel inspired to tie people, is if I'm able to change their relationship to themselves in a profound way.
Mm. When they say they've never felt like that before, what types of feelings are they having?
I think exactly what I was just saying about them being able to feel themselves more, to
Right.
be that present.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I think dropping that deeply into your emotions and also your physical sensations is sometimes quite rare for people.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What types of emotions do you commonly see people uncovering during these ties? Is it the whole range of emotions, happiness, sadness, anger, fear? What kind of emotions come up for people?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
depends on their relationship to vulnerability.
Mm.
Sometimes people have grief. Sometimes people use anger as a mask, like a defense mechanism.
Right.
Sometimes just elated or like floating or happy. It depends on the person.
And their relationship to vulnerability. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm. How do you describe vulnerability? How would you describe that to someone who might be thinking about having their first tie and hearing you say being vulnerable, they might be a little bit cautious or concerned about what that might be. How would you describe that to them?
So vulnerability is the willingness to let another person see something real about you,
Mm-hmm.
even if you cannot control it.
Oof. I love that. I love that definition. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. So you've studied extensively in Japan now. It sounds like you spent quite some time there. What do you think the West still misunderstands most about Shibari?
Mm. I think what the West misunderstands the most about Shibari is that Shibari is inherently painful.
Mm.
And there's many different ways that you can tie. Like there's tying for aesthetics or beauty, tying for meditation, for erotic experience, or for sadism or power play. There's so many different angles or approaches, and they don't have to involve pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you envision for the future of Shibari? Where do you see Shibari heading in the next 10 or 20 years?
I think Shibari is becoming really popular, actually. I think
Yeah.
it's becoming like a new mind body awareness tool, almost like yoga or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it becoming less associated with BDSM and more associated with wellness.
Mm-hmm. And is that something that your own exploration with rope is heading towards as well?
No, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I
Right.
like when it's kinky too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope it doesn't lose that aspect of the painful part as well, because that's something I really enjoy about Shibari.
You
And
enjoy the painful part?
yeah, I think that's where a lot of the endorphins come from, right? And the subspace for
Mm.
me and a lot of people that experience it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like it only when it's sensual and sexy.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it can be both, yeah. Sensual and
Yeah.
painful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, as part of every conversation, I ask guests to bring along something that's influenced their eroticism to share with the listeners, such as a quote, a book, or a movie that's, influenced their erotic life. What's something that has influenced you that you would like to share?
Mm. I, the first thing that comes to mind is something that's so kinky. I don't know if I want to share this.
Okay, you don't have to share if you don't want. Sounds fun.
Yeah. Hmm. But I could say one of the first books I read, the first kinky books I read,
Mm.
is a book by Georges Bataille, who's a very famous historical writer from, it was from like 19, his time was 1920.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of this author?
I have. What book is it? I might know the book.
He wrote a book called Story of the Eye.
Story of O or I? Story of
Story of the Eye.
I. No, I don't know if I know that.
Really?
What resonated with you about that book? What makes it stick in your mind?
So I read this book like in my early 20s, and it was about a woman named Simone who's living in Europe, and she goes on an adventure with her lover. And in this adventure, she's um, expressing her very un, unfiltered sense of such sexual expression that
Mm.
permeates everywhere. Everyone is getting turned on and excited, but then they become consumed with shame or guilt.
Ah,
And
yes.
and this story resonated with me because I mean it's kind of what I do with my public performances and my art. I'm expressing myself publicly, and it gives people permission to do the same.
I just looked it up, and yeah, I think a guest previously has mentioned it very early on in the podcast. An older gentleman who's really into sadism. I think he talked about this book. I'll have to put it on my list to read. Thank you for bringing it back into my world again. It sounds good. It's all about sexual perversions, so why not?
It's just really kinky. I don't necessarily agree with all of the kinky things that they did in the book, but
Right.
I like the essence of her it being unfiltered and wild and making other people crazy horny around her.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, so you've had quite a few experiences now. You've been touring and doing these rituals for quite some time by the sounds of it. I'm curious to hear from you. What's a peak erotic experience that's really stayed with you? Whether it's from a particular ritual that you did that, maybe it was your first ritual, or one particular one where you were really in flow with the person you were tying, or perhaps it's something from your personal life. It doesn't have to be overtly sexual, just something that's, really stayed with you that was an erotic experience from your journey that you're happy to share.
Say my peak erotic experiences is with people that I loved. Just as simple as that, I guess. You can have all the skills and whatnot, but like if you are in love with someone, like the emotions just amplify the feeling so much.
Oh, that's really beautiful and romantic.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so that's speaking about your past. What about the future? What are you looking forward to exploring in rope or otherwise when it comes to your eroticism?
More love.
More love?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say there's a person listening who has always admired Shibari. Perhaps they're someone that's come to a performance or a ritual and they've seen someone else being tied, but they feel intimidated and not quite sure where to start when it comes to rope. Where would you encourage them to begin?
I would tell them to visit, say, like their local rope jam or rope community, and to meet other people who practice Shibari. And yeah, I tell them to go in person and join a community. How I started, actually.
Yeah, and from the people that I've met that are really into rope, a lot of them are really nerdy and, they're really fun people. So, yeah, I encourage people just to go along and give it a try. You can just go along and watch, right? You don't have to participate. Yeah. So, Marie, where can listeners find out more about you and these wonderful rituals and more about all of your offerings? Where is the best place to look you up?
Say on my Instagram and my Telegram.
Yep. And is that just your name? Just Marie Sauvage?
My Instagram is Marie.Sauvage.
Yep.
And my Telegram is Marie Sauvage Rope.
Wonderful. And finally, if you had to describe your erotic self in one word today, and one word only, what would that word be and why?
Well, I think the first word that comes to my mind is blooming.
What was that, sorry?
The first word that comes to mind is blooming.
Bloom?
Blooming, like a flower that's blooming. So the more that it blooms, the more it just seems to expand in a very beautiful and complex and deep way.
I love that. Well, Marie, thank you so much for joining me today. What I love about this conversation and how you approach rope is that you've expanded our understanding of Shibari, because so many people see Shibari as simply bondage, but today you've shown it can also be a language, an art form, a ritual, and a practice of presence. So thank you for taking us into your erotic realm today.
Thank you.
Thanks again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm Podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Erotic Realm Podcast. This is an independent podcast, and if you want to see more episodes made just like this one, you can support it at psychologyofdesire.com by becoming a paid subscriber and entering the realm with many other supporters. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize kink and desire in all of its forms. And we can't do that without you. So until the next time, stay perverted.